guys, today we are going to meet with amazing ET channelers SAM and Geraldine. Sham Sharma, who is known as Sam the Illusionist, and Geraldine Orozco. Both are fantastic ET channelers. They have hundreds and thousands of subscribers, millions and millions of views. So you guys are in a treat. Let's get to it. Today we are meeting with Geraldine and Sam. Sam is dialed in from India, and Geraldine here in the Bay Area where I live. Basically, probably Geraldine has been living here for a little longer than me, maybe more than. I've been here now since last 4 or 5 years in California. But I wanted to welcome Geraldine and Sam. Thank you for joining, and it's my true honor to connect with you, Geraldine.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. So I'll just give a brief introduction of Geraldine and Sam, but then I'm going to request both of them to say a few words, maybe 30 seconds of your time. And then I've thought about a few questions. There are many questions that have been asked. And then Geraldine and Sam, as you all know, they have hundreds and thousands of subscribers. They have millions of views. They have interviewed hundreds of times. So it is my attempt to connect with viewers around the world, introduce them. Some of the topics that I thought about, I was just talking to Geraldine and Sam about it. On that, we'll touch base, like cosmic events and influences. So some of the questions I thought about, obviously going through their vast work, personal empowerment, universal connection and love. This is the topic that is near and dear to everyone's heart. Energy reading. Geraldine and Sam, they are experts in energy reading and healing based on the channeling that they have been doing for years and years and the ET experiences they have. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about raising your vibration. They exactly know what to do, where your vibrations are and how to raise them. Spiritual growth and awakening. So see, these are some of the topics I just thought about before the interview, so we are going to talk about. So before we start, Geraldine, can you please, instead of me introducing you, can you take a moment to share a word about you, please?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for having me here once again. And I'm Geraldine Orozco. I'm an epigenetic psychotherapist and a clinical hypnotherapist. And my primary work and research is around consciousness, ET contact, interdimensional integration, and alchemy. And my area is about holographic DNA. I'm very, very interested in how our interdimensional experiences manifest into our biology and essentially are passed down through generations, of course, into the human race. And when we wake up consciousness, that information comes forth for us. So that's my area, and this is what I do. Thank you.
This is exciting. Thank you for that brief introduction, Geraldine. Sam, can you please take a moment to share a couple of thoughts?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, Milind and Geraldine, to the podcast. Actually, I don't have any backgrounds per se in, whatever I'm doing, because it happened by accident. So I never studied to become a channeler. I mean, I did not even know channeling was something that it is possible. So this just happened to me, and I have been sharing messages. So basically, I don't have any background in any of the topics I talk about. And what I'll share today is, just from my channeling sessions, which happened out of accident. So basically, that's my background. And I have a YouTube channel. It's called Sam the Illusionist. For those who are interested, I share my channeling sessions over there. And that's all I want to say.
Absolutely. This is exciting. Let's deep dive a little bit into the topics that we touched base earlier. I talked about. So let's start with cosmic events and influences. So when I'm not looking at the camera, I'm actually reading my Google Docs. So please pardon me. I have not memorized those. There is no way I can do that. So my apologies for that, but just hang in there. The real fun is when you get the answers, okay? My questions are really straightforward. So let's start with a couple of questions. So Geraldine, I'm going to start with you. 1 or 2 minutes of your time. Sam can pick up on that question. So about the cosmic events, right? There are various cosmic events. They continue to happen on this planet, like solar flares. We see planetary alignments, people through different planetary positions. It affects humanity, individuals, communities. So how does this cosmic events impact on our human consciousness?
Yes, awesome. So I'd love for us to kind of change the way that we perceive this idea that these cosmic events are something external to us, because actually our bodies are entire universes, and we are essentially intermeshed, interlinked, interdependent universes with one another holographically. We are part of one gene code that interconnects us with all living organisms of consciousness in this multiverse, really. Okay, we're talking about a multiverse beyond just this universe. But essentially, each one of these bodies of life force, they're cosmic bodies of life force consciousness that exist on different ranges of frequencies. And they move through us and we move through them. And our ultimate evolutionary point is to experience all different stages of form and non-form as we're evolving in this universe. So as our spiritual evolution expands, and as we become aware of ourselves as the universe, this is where we begin to remember the layers of ourselves. And it's through the body. There's the main energy centers in the body. All these energy centers are connected to dimensional layers that interconnect us to different multiverses. Essentially, the physical body functions like a portal through our DNA and through the chakra bodies that interconnect us into these dimensional layers. And essentially, as we navigate and we wake up consciousness in the waking state, we begin to wake up consciousness in dream state, which is where we are usually navigating. The invitation is to integrate all of these parts into this physical vessel, And essentially, the movement of the stars, because we are a fractal, because remember how it's a fractal, the Fibonacci sequence is one of the most important mathematical codes that helps us understand the measurement and space and time of this universe. And it's nonlinear, it's a spherical model. And as we are a fractal of this universe, these systems form as organized intelligence in archetypal systems. There's an archetypal organization. So we are born with a snapshot of the universe at a certain time. And we correlate that to astrology, not in the way that we might think of a horoscope, but more like universal astrology. And that allows us to understand how these influences are feeding in and activate certain parts of our DNA for our animation. So a lot of us take on certain archetypal overlays and we play them out in our life, and they actually help us identify our purpose, what we're here to do. And when we have solar flares and so much activity, we have to understand this is the entire human race going through an evolutionary healing. It's an evolutionary awakening. Vibrational frequency is becoming higher in the collective humanity. So the universe is a mirror of that, and vice versa. The human race is a mirror of the activity and evolution that's happening in the universe. So I'll stop right there.
I know you have such a wisdom. You can talk about this one question for definitely and easily an hour. But this is a great insight. Geraldine, so in a nutshell, what we do, our thoughts, projections, that affects the universe. It's the other way, rather than the external references into us. So that's a slight understanding that I captured. Sam, your perspective, any feedback on this, please?
I think, like from what I have learned, from my channeling sessions and as well as from my own experience, like Geraldine was saying, I have sensed, from my sessions that we are all one. So even though, we may have separate bodies, we may exist in, different locations, but ultimately we come from the same source. And, what is happening is that, what happens is that our actions, whatever we take, it has an effect on everyone, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you do something positive, for example, let's give an example. If you go out, and you have a very high vibration, you interact with other people with respect, you spread love. What happens is that the other person will feel better, and that person, will also, spread love in a way. It's like a chain reaction, right? So our actions, like has an effect on the universe, like even in plant life forms, even water. So there have been many scientists, like who have researched the effect of the type of thought form on water molecules. There was a scientist, I think he's from Japan. We were talking about this before, earlier in our previous podcast as
Yes.
well. So he actually had done a research that even water, which we normally perceive as this inanimate object or a thing, right, which is non-living. But it turns out that water also has some kind of life. It's reflecting the type of thought forms you give. So in a way, I think all of our environment, the universe as well, is connected. So your question was actually regarding solar flares, right? How solar flares have an effect. So, and I think from my understanding, like from my channeling sessions, what I've learned is that the our sun, actually our sun allows for higher density beings. There are some entities who live there. So basically, what I understand is that as we ascend higher into higher levels of consciousness, so right now, we are actually dependent on our body to survive. So the thing is, if you think about it, our body cannot produce food on its own like plants do, because plants, they are independent. So we don't have that facility. Like we cannot create our own food, but we have for that, we have received movement. We have received thought forms. We can move around places, but we cannot produce our own food. Otherwise, if we could produce our own food, there will be no economic system, there will be no jobs, no one would be working, we'll be self-sufficient, right? So I think we have traded off for this experience. And then as we go higher, from my channeling sessions, as we enter into fourth density, fifth density, what happens is that we'll let go of this body, so we'll be in essence light. So as we know that the sun is sustaining us indirectly and directly as well. So we receive food from plants, and plants actually create food from the sun through photosynthesis. That's the process. And indirectly, the sun, which is our main source of energy, is sustaining all of us. So solar flares, they have very high effect. If you just imagine, the thing that is sustaining us, whenever it gives more energy, I think it's a form of from my sessions as well, they say that it's form of cleansing, or providing more energy. Like, so if we need more positive energy, it comes through the sun. And most of the time, the energy that comes is absolutely positive energy, because sun is like the, from my sessions, as far as I understand, it's like the logos, like who is responsible for our Milky Way, our solar system. Sorry, not the Milky Way, because yeah. So, and the effect is seen that our planet slowly receives more energy, and I think it's a sign of raising the vibration. It helps to raise our frequency, like to move higher. Yeah, that's what I understand.
This is great feedback. Thank you. Let's move forward. A couple of questions more under the cosmic events and influences. I was thinking about timeline shifts that we are experiencing currently. How individuals like us, how can we navigate through it effectively?
Yeah. So when we talk about time, so time, first of all, is not a linear model. We tend to believe that time is a linear model, but it's actually spherical. That means that everything exists simultaneously based on the vector origin of your projection. So we are literally because our bodies are bioelectrical. This bioelectrical system creates a charge. We are conduits. Our bodies are conduits of energy. And that energy life force, the life force, which is from the source, which is the infinite potential that enters into this physical body, it's the emotional charge with the intention, the pure intention that creates the emotional charge, that's a bioelectrical charge, also create biochemical reaction in the body that actually creates in this dimension. And that bioelectrical charge is essentially the frequency that will define what opens up to you. What are you available to be in resonance with? Okay, so actually we're constantly moving in and out of dimensions all the time. We are surrounded by entities, beings all the time, but most of us, our vision is very, very limited. You know, we have very low vibrational frequency. Everything is externalized to the material world. So we don't really take the time to be fully in the present moment and tune in to the subtle energies. And really our environment is communicating with us all the time. So our ability to come back into that present moment, to begin to tune into what is your intention right now. You know, if you have a lot of confusion, disconnect, you're never going to be clear about the output of your outcome. And people often find themselves in entire timelines, lifetimes, of like wrong decisions where they say they realize, you know, they don't even know how they got there. So that's just a matter of dormant state. We fall asleep, we go back into a dormant state of hypnosis. So waking up consciousness means being absolutely present moment and essentially entering the 0 point. The 0 point of non-judgmental observation. The observer is actually the one that can create the strongest charge, because the 0 point is where we actually can enter into the highest conductivity rate bioelectrically in the body, which means that is when we begin to touch free will to be able to choose consciously the timelines that we have access to. And essentially, you know, we can navigate these timelines and choose essentially infinite potential as long as we are in that 0 point and our intention is aligned. And essentially, the human moves away from choosing timelines that are self-serving into a timeline that is something that is good for the collective. That is usually the highest timeline. And that's what, you know, we talk about the higher dimensions. We're moving into this higher state of consciousness where we now are choosing what is good for me as a whole organism, but also the collective. That's the way the choices are made now. And in this way, we begin to come into resonance with higher octave beings and even entities, and we can communicate and interact and learn so much from these higher intelligent civilizations, right? So yeah, it's great.
Extraordinary. Wow. And then we will talk about this a little bit later, how to get to that 0 point, how to maintain, you know, easier way to do that, because we get so tempted and get distracted all the time. But if we apply some easy methods, then we can stick to it, and, you know, potentials of what the reason we are here, we can explore those to the fullest. But thank you, Geraldine. Sam, do you have any insights you'd like to share, please, briefly?
Yeah, you know, like Geraldine was saying, you know, I think, we cannot perceive in other dimensions. Like sometimes, you know, like we have seen videos, you know, like of people catching, you know, spiritual, you know, spirits, you know, maybe like ghosts or something. So, you know, like, and also they catch UFOs, right? So, you know, what is happening is that, you know, our eyes, you know, our eyes and our senses, you know, they cannot perceive, you know, the spectrum. You know, there is a spectrum of light. You know, if we look into science, you know, there is the ultraviolet and the violet, and those, I think, you know, in those spectrums, you know, these entities, they operate. And you know, like Geraldine was saying, you know, like we may be surrounded by other entities right now, and you know, because our senses, you know, we lack that. It's you know, it's almost impossible for a normal human being, right, to sense them. And you know, with regards to timelines, you know, like as far as from my own experience, you know, from my own personal experience, as well as from, you know, I've channeled about this, you know, for a person, you know, like to enter a particular timeline, you know, there are few things, you know, required. So your question was, you know, like how to navigate timelines as well. So you know, I think, you know, like whenever a person, you know, supposedly they want to enter a timeline which is more better, right? So sometimes, people want more success or more, pleasure in life, because that's the aim for everyone, right? Because we are living in a chemical body. Most of us, we just want to live comfortably, and we want to, enter a timeline where there is balance and there is less imbalance. Because, imbalance means you lack some things, you are sick, your relationships are not so good with other people, or, there is something that is blocking the person, or whoever is trying to access the timeline. So as far as from my sessions, this is just from my own sessions, people may not agree with this, but what I've received is that to access timeline, the highest principle, there are levels of principles which operate in this universe. So the highest level is actually the law of karma, which which is actually prevalent in which is taught in many other religious systems as well. But from my sessions as well, what I learned is that if a person hasn't done like service to others, okay, if a person hasn't helped someone without seeking anything in return, then such a person will face obstacles from the universe as well, because the universe, I think it is seeking balance. So to enter a new timeline, a more better positive timeline, a person needs to do something good, firstly, and then automatically through the law of karmic energy, the person will enter more swiftly, because there will be no blockage. Because I've seen many people like they send me sessions, and through my sessions I've discovered that many people they have blockages because of their negative karma. Sometimes they may have done something bad to other people. Sometimes they may only be self-service, and what happens is that the universe tries to block such people from even achieving success, because this is this principle which is the highest level of the principle which is operating in the universe. So that's from my sessions. And also second to that, to enter a timeline is vibration. So vibration means your base vibration. So if your base vibration is always positive, and you're in a better mood, or you're always like in a positive state of gratefulness, gratitude, if you can maintain that for some time, so that it becomes your nature, your basic vibration, then you will enter that timeline. Otherwise, like if your vibration is changing, like your moods are shifting, basically your moods and emotions, they are a reflection of your inner vibration. They are effect of your basic vibration. So that's the second level, from my understanding, from my own life as well as from my channeling sessions. So that's how person can choose appropriate timeline and take actions. Yeah.
Accordingly. This is great. Thank you. Oh, let's move forward. We were talking about cosmic events and influences. We touch base on a couple of great points that Geraldine and Sam has shared with us. One more question I had about this cosmic events, right? What specific cosmic events should humanity be aware of in the near future, and how can we navigate through those events successfully? Geraldine, please.
So this is an interesting question, and I'm a lifelong contactee with experiencer. So I get this question a lot, and there's a lot of controversy in the ET community, and also politically, and the shadow government, behind all of these things that actually talk a lot about these kinds of events. I'm going to talk from a couple different levels really fast. Number one, from the highest level, my opinion is that one of the largest lessons and experiences that we're here to experience is absolute co-creation, absolute free will to choose. And that being said, the ability to come into a state of free will means that you create your reality in a very, very powerful way. And then collectively, we co-create experiences. Now, in our society, there's a lot of social engineering. There's a lot of influences that like to manipulate concepts, ideas about things into states of manipulation based on fear and control. And it is very difficult sometimes to discern who is that, who's doing that. So it's very important to understand that we have to discern when we receive, even when we're connecting with interdimensional beings. Sometimes there's a lot of beings that are quite parasitic in the way that they interact. So we have to be aware of those parasitic exchanges and learn to discern. That way we can define what we are choosing to co-create as a collective humanity moving forward. If we are rooted in fear and all of our communications, either interdimensional or in the physical world, are about survival, are about constant preparation, constant not living in the present moment, constant giving away your power to something external, that's the collective timeline that we're going to be infusing for the collective human race. Right now, we're at a very interesting, this is the nature of this system. The human that comes into free will gets to choose what we experience together. We co-create. Right now, if we come into choosing a higher timeline of unity consciousness, of awareness, of presence, of actual free will, which means to let others be free will, experience love, pain, all the experiences, the plethora of experiences of life, in order to come into their highest evolution, this is where we begin to have a harmony, like Sam was saying, that is the number one thing. And that's a natural part of this self-balancing organism, always looking for ultimate harmony. So, there's many potential timelines available to humanity. But humanity is learning how to activate their higher faculties, their intuitive abilities, the intuition, the vision, the navigation of the higher dimensions. And that is something that all of the human race is going to have to experience one way or another as they discover their human bodies. So we're going through an awakening, a major awakening, which it's a cyclical thing. This universe functions in cycles. Okay, we went through a very dormant state in which there was a dominance of the imbalanced masculine. Mm-hmm. And now we are learning how to balance the divine feminine and the masculine for mm-hmm. co-creation. All of that is rooted in your ability to create. Okay. So in the healing of this process, humanity is learning how to create a balanced self, a balanced family, a balanced community, and a balanced society. And that will make us choose things even with technology, because technology is really going to ramp up. Artificial intelligence is really ramping up. And there's a responsibility of the conscious human to be able to work collaboratively with the technology in the way that we are interdependent rather than codependent. Right. And, with the influence of planetary systems, solar flares, many interdimensional higher beings that are, completely present through us and available, the human can choose what kind of events are coming for humanity. Yeah.
I see. So choice is up to us.
Choice.
Continue to maintain and raise our vibration. We will plugged into those timelines. This is great. Geraldine, thank you. Appreciate this. Sam, anything from your side, please, on this? I'm sure you have great insight into this as well. Please.
With regards to future events, as far as I understand, every single person, we are every moment, we are making a choice. Like Geraldine was saying about we having free will. So free will is basically it's kind of given to those entities who are conscious, right? So in a way, if you think about it, water, water, has free will, until someone, influences it, right? So we humans have influenced water to create electricity. We are flowing it in different directions. We are making canals. So in a way, you need to be conscious enough, right? So you need to be self-aware enough. So free will, I think even, our pets, they don't have actually free will, because, they can, they have to follow, the order of the owners. If the owner, puts them in a leash, they will be there, right? So in a way, if you understand this, universe has given free will to those, self-aware entities. So like us, like third density entities, and, those beings, who are higher level, they obviously don't interfere with other people because, they give their free will. So also, that's a sign. Yeah, that's a sign of, if someone is trying to control, like, we have seen many, in the past, many, like leaders, they tried to control people, and we saw what happened, right? So, people who actually, give other people free will, like freedom, that showcases, like they are also a little bit, higher in the vibration because they care about the other person, right? And with regards to, what kind of events we can anticipate in the future, I think, what is happening is that basically, we have many timelines we can enter into, and like this depends on the choice of the human collective. As per my channeling session, there have been many sessions, where they have stated that, we are entering a positive vibration, because, like, you can see, like people are awakening to the truth of, what's happening in the world. We can see, like, many of the, systems are falling apart, right? And many, people, yeah, we can see the truth behind them. So, like, what's happening is that we are entering an era of truth, like, as per my channeling session. So as this, ramps up, more and more people will awaken, because, we will see, what really, like, people are hiding, like what was their agenda. So it will come out, and in the future, they have stated that, we will also have the ability to, become a part of this, social memory complex. That's what is said in my channeling session. It's like a collective of different consciousness. So just imagine, like right now, I am only aware of my body. So in the future, we will be aware of, what Milind is thinking, what Geraldine is thinking, what everyone is thinking. So at that point, there cannot be any falsity. Okay, like people cannot lie. So because, we will be aware of that. And they said, this will happen without any technology. So, like people who are creating technology, they're actually trying to force, like maybe they want to control us, in the future in some way. And, if we rely on that heavily, they will have, us on their leash, like they can do anything, right? So, our future depends on the collective choices, like it's not just, me, making one choice, but also, the entire human collective, making a choice in every moment, and also noticing that, yeah, our actions, they have, they have some consequence in the future. So that's what, the law of karma basically is, like it's a law of balance. So if you do something good, like something good will happen to you, in some way, shape, or form. And people, who have been living, yes, this life, they know this from experience, because science will say this is not true, but this from experience. So once you have experienced it, it doesn't matter, what scientists say, because it's the truth. And that's what I have also experienced in my life. And I think, many people who are aware of, what actions they had taken in the past, that led up to this, present moment, what you're experiencing now. And in this moment, you can take, positive action, like, helping someone, like Geraldine, offered, like Zoom, to us, which is a great service to others, like, so she will receive, some good things will happen to her in the near future if she doesn't forget about that action. So, I think the events in our future basically, is dependent on the choices every single person makes.
Makes sense. This is fantastic. And then the communication that you both mentioned happens at the intuitive level from futuristic. I think I remember Bashar was talking about, how they communicate at that level. The words, they don't need words, they just communicate intuitively. So that is where we are evolving into. And I think, I believe some of the amazing beings on this planet right now at this time, they do that. I know Geraldine has tapped into this many times. She can traverse from dimension to dimension effortlessly because of her efforts and prayers and meditations and her past, so psychic abilities. So that's also very powerful. A blessing to humanity. So before we move forward, I was just curious if do you guys have maybe a tiny question for each other? I have my questions, mapped out, but do you have any tiny question or anything that you want to ask to? So that I just want to make it interactive, not just like a Q&A. So is that something, Geraldine, you would like to ask Sam, or Sam, you would like to ask Geraldine, please?
Well, yeah, I mean, Well, I have two things I want to say. First of all, I'm so happy that Sam talked about the topic of truth, because that's absolutely 100% what I see as well. We are definitely going in the direction of truth, and that is going to create a lot of chaos because we are not very comfortable with truth. And to sit with our own truth actually is one of the most difficult things. So it's amazing because that will change literally the geometry of humanity, because when a human sustains truth, the energetic field is completely different than when we are, lying or betraying ourselves. So that's a really beautiful thing that he said. My question I would ask is about your channeling. Where do you feel you get your information? Because in the same way, I also channeled my information. Everything is channeled, and then I support it with research, but it's all channeled. So where do you get your information from, Sam?
Yeah, actually, when I what happened was that when I discovered this, accidentally, it was like a dream state. So I was in a sleep state, and I didn't realize, like some entity was talking through me. So then, they revealed, their identity. Like, sometimes they are Pleiadians, sometimes they are archangels, sometimes they are Ra, and Galactic Federation as well. And that's how I have discovered this, and that's basically that's how it happens to me. So I cannot normally I am not able to tap into that state, so I need to enter into a kind of hypnotic state. Like I think you have experience in hypnosis, yeah, much like a sleep-like state. Like where I'm not aware. It's like semi-sleep kind of thing. So drowsy. They can use drowsy kind of state. And yeah, so just the question, how do you channel? Was that wanted to ask?
Yeah, same. So it started off in a contact experience. I was meditating a lot, and then I went in dream time. I became lucid, and then I had a contact experience. Like I was taken on board a craft. I was taken to the Pleiades, and then my memories started to come back. Then years later, I had hypnotherapy, and then I started to channel massive amounts of information. And then it started to integrate. And now the connection is just directly through source. Like I channel all the time, really. When I'm in hypnosis, sometimes I can go deeper, but I try to make it in a place where it comes from source. And I don't connect too much to any specific entity or information, because at the ultimate, we learn how to discern. And you can tell the difference between pure consciousness, as you said, free will and truth. And that's what resonates the most. So that's how I do it. Very similar.
Wow. That's a great question. I think that was also part of your past life regression, right? That's when you, I've watched that video. That was phenomenal, when the information that was coming to you real time. And now this is pretty much, I think, Geraldine, the way of living for Geraldine. I mean, and then she needs to determine, what to filter, what not to filter, and she has to keep the guards on, pretty much, right? Otherwise, the information keeps coming at you. So I'm just envisioning, visualizing. So
yeah, I think you kind of, just like probably Sam, you kind of when to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
And it's part of discernment. And this is what I teach. I train people to do this, to integrate that. So yeah.
Yes. So and then Sam, he was accidentally he discovered this, right? And then Sam, you have a quick story on this, right? He asked his mother to record what he was doing because she was wondering what's going on. And then the doctors, they thought that, there's something wrong with him. So he recorded, and then that's when he discovered that, that powerful entities, they're channeling through him, right, Sam? And then he looked up on the internet, and that's where he said that, many, many channels are out there, right, Sam? So,
yeah.
This is phenomenal. So, yeah. Just one actually question on this topic, this topic before we look into, but thank you. This is more exciting, interactive discussion and communication. So I heard from Sam, and I think from Geraldine as well, there's some level of soul swap that happens. Is this something you want to shed light on, Sam? Is it something that you experience as a result where you are?
Yeah, from my experience, like I have channeled about this, and they stated that, I had a soul swap. So basically, like before this channeling happened, like it almost happened 3 years ago. what happened was that, before that time, if I look at my memory of how I was, I am a totally different person right now. So, before that time, I had lots of desires, like lots of, cravings, even, I craved, like eating different kind of foods, like which normally people have cravings and stuff. But then what happened was that after this, not only my behavior changed, but also all of my patterns. Even my mother says, I am a different person right now because, before this thing happened, I used to always, I did not like to stay in my home. So I used to always, go out, party a lot, perform, like on the street. I used to do, street magic before, and I used to interact with a lot of people. I just wanted to have fun, right? So, but now, like what happened after this was that, I am always having fun. So, in a way, I don't have to, do anything to have fun. So I'm always having fun in the moment. So I don't have to depend on anything outside, which, is a mind blowing thing, which I discovered. So it's actually a freedom, if you think about it, to really be free, in this world, you need to stop depending on other things, So if you want to feel joy, you can feel joy without anything. So you can just produce it yourself. If you want to be happy, you don't have to go to meet someone or do some activity to be happy. You can be happy within yourself. So that's that was something that changed within me. And it's a lot of freedom, like this illusion complex, that's what they say in the sessions, has a lot of control on us, specifically, like even the advertising companies and stuff, they show lifestyles, which we need to rely on something, we need to buy Lamborghinis and Ferraris. But instead of that, without that, just feeling as if you have Lamborghini right now, that was mind-blowing experience. And this thing, that was the change, which I realize right now.
So it happened just like a flip of a switch, right? Instantaneously, next day morning you get up and then you're a completely different person, and then still you're enjoying life, but a different way. That internal joy and peace that exuding. So other than that, the life is business as usual, right? Normal, no change.
Yeah, life is normal, but life is normal, but like even less desires.
Less desires.
The thing is, less desires. Yeah, because desires, because I noticed before desires got us into lots of traps. You know what I mean? So you had a desire to achieve this. You worked a lot of hard work, slogging your mind in a lot of pain and suffering because of that. Even desires to meet someone, or stuff like that. I've noticed that desires, they are the problems. You know what I mean, in this world. So they are gone. Like most of them are gone. As far as I understand, but I have some basic desires like survival and stuff is still there. But like the other desires, the cravings and stuff, like that, depending on the outside world, that thing just changed. Yeah.
That is extraordinary. Is this something, Geraldine, you experienced when this happened? I think this has been going on for years in your life, right? When you experienced first and even before, like I think since your childhood, right? But that shift happened, and then did that profoundly change your life?
Absolutely. So yes, and I grew up in a very spiritual family. So I grew up meditating and, all of this kind of awareness, but really I didn't go into the deep work until about 2013, where I took 4 months off of my work. I used to have an event planning company, and I started to meditate, and I went into a deprogramming of my own self. Like I began to question my desires, exactly, my fears, my desires, all my limiting belief systems. And that's exactly when I began to find the true self, which is none of those things at all. And it took me down into this rabbit hole, into my ancestral lineage, where I began to understand the collective suffering of human race, where it becomes very, very clear why humanity operates in this way. And that's when I had my experience of these beings that came in to take me and show me the information. They showed me the universe. They introduced me to these children that, were said to be mine, took me to the Pleiades. And then I began to understand consciousness and, the physics of the universe, the true quantum physics of this universe that interconnect us. So that completely started to change, but I was still living kind of double life because I still had to, I was in a partnership. Yeah, I was going to get married to someone. And then I realized, this is not really the life I want. I don't agree with any of this kind of stuff. So I cannot betray myself anymore. And I had to end all of it. I sold the business, the relationship, everything from one day to the next. And then I went deep into the work and I just surrendered. I mean, I had no plans for, to really do anything specific. It was just to let the universe work through me. And it was an amazing transformation, but unrecognizable from what I was before that, and little by little, I've been integrating that more into this physical body now, as it's been many, many years. But yeah, so very similar. Yeah.
That's really profound. And whoever is going to listen to this, it's going to really transform their life. It's going to get them thinking about their purpose, where they're spending time, what they have achieved in these worldly things. It'll start from me, but obviously other users, forgive me, other listeners around the world and your viewers. So that's when, Geraldine, you started developing your psychic abilities, like, for example, you're clairvoyant and you can read energy, see energy, feel it. That's when was there, or it was inborn? It was always there.
I've always had a very, very psychic connection, and especially to the Pleiades. Since I was a little girl, I used to pray to the Pleiades. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that was my very, very strong connection. But in 2013, after that contact experience in October, the very next day, everything ripped open. I mean, I went to teach my client meditation that on Monday. This happened on Friday. On Monday, I went to teach the class, and it was just like a ball of light with energies, colors. I could feel her emotions, her thoughts. Everything was wide open. So I had to learn how to use the vision, because for 6 months, I could not leave my house. I couldn't go grocery shopping. I couldn't.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, because I could hear the person 3 houses down talking to their wife. I could hear the conversations of my neighbors. It was just insane. But I had to learn how to control that, yes. and it took some time to cultivate and integrate that. And this happens a lot for people that change from one day to the next. You activate some sensitivities, some abilities, as I'm sure Sam did too. You open these new abilities that are part of this new vessel, new frequency. You see, with new frequency comes new abilities, because that's the activation of the body. That's why I became very interested in sacred science and spiritual science and biology of the body, to understand how it functions, because there is a certain architecture to our body. Every single person can do what I do. I'm not special at all. Every single human can do it. So we just need to learn how to cultivate that ability. It's very simple. You don't need to have contact to have this ability. That's really what it is. Yeah.
Wow. And that's through your teaching. So this is profound if one understands and figure out a way to tap into this by looking inward, meditating. You are giving a great hope to humanity, Geraldine, by saying that, every single person can achieve this. But it's like, Tiger Woods, right? When he hits that golf shot, it just goes so smoothly, effortlessly. But if I try to do it, I'll just dig up the sand. But I think you are saying that it is possible and it is achievable.
Even Tiger Woods has techniques. It's just, you just need to understand how we function. Yeah. And we have to get out of our own way, because actually most of our programming is actually a filter of the true self. The true self is the innate part of you, the innocent part of you, that little child part of you that we were born with our senses open, our ability, our connection to love. We were already born with that, but we just become covered with programs as a child to survive. And then we create personalities as survival mechanisms. The ego gets in a state of trauma and then wants to be in survival all the time. So actually the true human doesn't need to be in survival all the time. It's actually a creator, a co-creator, which is where the true art of the human is expression. And life is becoming this artistic expression in the way that we're coherent with our truth. and we can be vulnerable, that vulnerability of your authenticity is actually our strength. That's because, and all of our abilities become available to us.
Wow.
Or the more you become fearful, we become fragile and very easily broken, very disconnected. Trauma creates fractalization in the soul and the body, which is what parasites will try to do to us. They will try to fractalize us.
You get confusion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you don't know what's up, what's down. So we have to reintegrate the self again. We have to just remember who we are.
Okay.
At the core, we are all and nothing simultaneously. And that's when the human has its potential available. It's right there all the time. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. So that takes us to my question about, I was just thinking about that, about universal connection and love. Maybe we can transition into this topic. Like a couple of things I was thinking about, Geraldine and Sam. Like we have, as you were mentioning about, our core, the one we are actually made of, universal truth that we carry. And then we are actually, based on what I understand, it's, driven by or guided by our higher self, right? Higher mind. So how do we communicate with our higher mind, to bring out the best within us, for us, for enriching the humanity? How do we do that? How do we achieve that? Geraldine.
I thought maybe Sam would start since I already...
Okay, we'll start with Sam. Okay,
yeah,
Sam,
let's start
please,
with
thank
Sam,
you.
and then I'll go. Yeah.
So we're talking about higher mind, as you
I think...
So please, thank you.
Yeah. About the higher mind and how we can bring the best of humanity. So I think, firstly, it also begins with our own self. So basically, they have given from my sessions many type of frameworks or exercises in the mind which we can use. So for example, whenever you're interacting with someone, the viewers can try this next time, just say in your mind that the person is you. So if I'm talking with Milind, and I'm just thinking that you are me, but in a different body, so my reaction will be different. I will speak in a more it will be more loving manner. You'll also be more forgiving, and the interaction will be different. Yeah, so there will be energy difference. Geraldine was saying, energy is creating changes in our body, so that will create change in both the people. So that's one of the things that I discovered. So, and also you can use this in a very simple thing, is that they have given us a method, to just, even right now, people can, even when they're awake, they can imagine some things in their mind, right? They can create an image, like a picture, it's like a black and white picture. Most of them, imagination is black and white. So you can just imagine, like a heart, right? So as you're imagining a heart, what happens is that you will feel love. So even you're awake, so you just, even if you are doing anything, just in your mind, there is a picture of a heart, right? So you feel love automatically. So whatever you do, people will feel love as well.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So this was a method, that they have given, many times. And also, they have given very beautiful method, which I also like, to use. They have stated, many of us, what happens is that we incarnate into our body. So because our mind, we have memories. Our mind is just a storage system of memories, right? So we have memories of, our past, what happened to oneself when we were a child, or, what happened yesterday, with someone said something. And also, what happens is that our mind can project into the future, based on the memories it has of the past. So what happens is that, we are not able to stay in the present moment because, we are tied down. Our energy is consumed, by the past thoughts and the future thoughts, right? So they have given us a simple method, basically just saying to yourself, thinking that you were born right now. So you were born, just imagine, all you listeners, you were born right now. So you don't have past. So you are born in this moment. So do you have any past? No. So just imagine you also die in just 1 second, okay? So the next second you just die. So, you don't have any future. So, with that, framework in your mind, you need to just constantly sometimes remind yourself if I'm born right now and then I die in 1 second, your focus will be on the present moment more than in your past or the future, and you let go. You'll be a different person if you do this. So these are simple methods you can apply in your life, and this will have an effect on the energy of humanity. Basically one person doing simple methods like this will have effect on their family. Even I have noticed this, like in my some of my colleagues, like they used to be like very reactive before. Yeah, before reacting to reacting to the world, reacting to like criticisms or feedback given by some people. And what happened was that when I started to change my vibration, like I normally I'm always like in a joy state most of the time. So what happened is that it transferred to them, so they also became more joyful. And I noticed that like you can change other people, and it's like a law of transmission. Energy transmits from person to person. So even my mother, like she became more happier just because of my vibrations transferring. Yeah, so I've noticed that it happens. Yeah, so whoever you hang out with, many a times you will adopt their vibration. It's a weird thing, but it's true.
That's amazing. And then the energy, I believe, Geraldine, you can shed light on this. The other point I wanted to maybe get Geraldine's feedback on this is, how do this communication connection with our higher mind?
Yeah.
So that's something that you would like to please.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the higher mind, I call it the higher faculty or the higher self. Okay, and so think of it this way: source being infinite potential.
Mm-hmm.
When it links to the physical body at the time of inception, okay,
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the mother's womb, what happens is that infinite potential, it organizes in the body from lowest frequency to highest frequency, the root being the lowest frequency going up to the highest frequency. And then we have layers. We're like spheres of spheres of spheres. We're just made of spheres. The model of this universe is made in spirals, in that the energy, all energy is moving through spirals to create toroidal fields. Okay, so what does that mean? Our chakra bodies are also toroidal fields. When we have, and Sam talked about it, the memories, okay, of trauma, for example. If we have a lot of those trauma memories, they create reference points in the field that essentially over time, if we reinforce the neural pathway of sadness, for example, like Sam was talking about the sadness or anger, that creates a very strong crystallization of the thought forms in the body that create blockages. So the body, what happens is over time, the wheels, and they're not just wheels, they're spheres. The toroidal fields of energy in the body become stagnant, slow, sluggish, okay? So what happens is that we're only moving from the lower centers, and the body has three main energy centers: the lower dantian, middle dantian, and the upper dantian. You want to connect to the higher mind, you have to integrate the three centers. Clear the root sacral solar chakra, your fear-based programs, feelings of insecurity, unsafety, desires, sexual energy, your relationship and exchange with one another, and your emotions, your anger, your disempowerment. We are manipulated by those three centers in every way to pull us away from activating the higher mind. The higher mind is the alchemization. What is alchemization? Transmutation. You are changing one form of energy into another. Okay? So fear, you transmute into love, for example. Okay? Feeling unsafe, you transmute into safety. The process and the journey of that transmutation is called alchemy. Nice. And the way to do that is through the heart. Compassion. Okay? Compassion. So what happens is that through the heart is filtered all of these programs into compassion, into unconditional love of yourself, That means that you begin to accept all your shadows, all of the dark parts of you, the parts that you're ashamed of, insecure. You begin to feel compassion to integrate those parts. You alchemize to the heart. You begin to activate worthiness. Now you can expand into coherence where you begin to connect with other human beings. That's why this happens with Sam, that he feels a good emotion. The mother also changed. Same thing happened in my family. It elevates into higher levels. We alchemize collective. And this is also the alchemization of DNA. Ancestral lineages. We are stopping the patterns of suffering of generations. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now. So the higher mind is unlocked through the heart. When we begin to embody compassion, unconditional love, now the vision starts to wake up and we can see truth through the throat. We can speak truth, our truth, and we can see truth.
Wow.
Now we have the ability to begin to navigate the world, the real world. So, it takes a little bit of work to deprogram. First, we just have to be very honest with ourselves. Raw authenticity, raw truth. We cannot hide behind our own insecurities or shadows. We have to look at them, understand them, process, sit with those difficult emotions until we alchemize into love. And that is the process of activation. After that, we begin to, the next level of that is that you begin to feel safe in vulnerability and you become friends with the unknown. Because all trauma, all of those pains and sufferings are a result of being in situations of handling the unknown and not knowing how to respond. So we are helping all the parts of ourselves, the little inner child that was suffering in trauma, the wounded ego that is afraid to let go of control. Mm-hmm. We are alchemizing and showing those parts of us how to embody a whole self. No more judgment. In other words, that's the alchemization. We go from the perspective of separation, good and bad, black and white, into the plethora, into the whole of everything. And the human now can begin to discern from a place of really grounded focus, from clear intention. So the higher mind is cultivated in this way.
This is very powerful stuff. And then as we become more and more non-judgmental about self, automatically it reflects, as you and Sam are saying, the world is a reflection of what.
Exactly. And that's the unity consciousness that we're all moving into right now. Yeah.
Wow. See, this energy that you talked about, right, Sam and Geraldine, how does it look like, and how does one's energy form look like from your channeling and personal experience? How do you see energy, Geraldine?
I'm really excited to hear that. I'll let Sam go if that's okay. Because we can alternate. Yes, okay. I'm so excited to hear how Sam sees it too. Yeah.
Yes. Please, Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, with regards to energy, right? So, I think, from my understanding, basically our energy, is reflected through our emotions and our thought forms. So from my understanding, the emotions, they come from an energy source. So if you are, changing your energy, so you will see a reflection in your emotions, right? So also, like many of my sessions, they have given many simple methods. So one of them is to smile. So, just to smile like this, if you just smile, even if the viewers, they just do this, they'll feel very happy. And the lower chakras will be balanced, so like Geraldine was saying, we have to balance the lower centers to then activate the higher. So, this is a simple method, which I personally like as well. Smiling, it's just and it feels good also, and it shifts your energy vibration. So you'll feel better as well, and you'll feel higher emotions. And then as a benefit of that, what happens is that when you're in a higher vibration, you can look at other people, and you can sense their energy as well. So sometimes like when you're in a high vibration, so you're just smiling with your own self, and you're feeling high vibration, you can see someone who comes to you, maybe they have some kind of trauma. You can see it in their face, it's the energy transfer. Like they don't have to say anything. With the energy, not only the face, but with the energy of their body or something, you'll just see like what's going on. Maybe they are feeling sad or depressed, or whatever, or anger. you can even sense that, like when you are at a higher level, you can sense all the lower vibrations, which I discovered, which is also really a benefit. So you will also be able to read other people without much effort. You can sense where their energy is, or sometimes you can even predict what may have happened in their life, or what they may be seeking. Sometimes you can see people, they are in fear because most of the human collective, like they are either in fear or pride. So pride also is a kind of a vibration which most people they end up in. They cannot escape that, because for me as well, before this, I used to see people. Now I recognize this. Before I did not recognize, like I have seen, I had seen many people, even in India. Okay, so whenever they achieve success, what happens to them is they become prideful. So you can see there is a kind of a smug in their face. They don't talk with other people, like who may not be on their own level. And specifically in India, that is more prevalent. I don't know about the US. Maybe people are more open in the US, but in India, that's one of the things. If people achieve a little bit of success or a little bit of money or a little bit, they don't, they enter into a state of pride. And like what happens is that they block themselves, like, and they cannot enter higher vibration, so they are stuck in that level. And I have noticed that. And also they can escape that. They just need to let go of that, and they just need to realize there are even higher ways of vibrations, like joy, happiness, unity, like that kind of thing, compassion, right? Those are gratefulness, those are higher level of vibration, but they don't realize that. They're not self-aware enough. So maybe someday they will realize, if they're watching our videos or whatever, if they're soul searching, they will realize that. So that's my viewpoint.
So this is awesome, Sam. Geraldine, you wanted to say, please, something about, energy. I understand it's more than seeing. Seeing is also equally powerful, but sensing, feeling, what's your feedback?
Absolutely. I loved what you said, Sam. So amazing. Yeah, so I would just love to, we talked about sensing. We actually have, 6 senses in the physical body. And unfortunately, you can identify which one of your senses is the strongest. It's going to show you a lot about your body, your energy, and your intuition also. Okay, usually that's the only one that's available to you. So we actually have to activate all our senses, and that takes practice, again, mindfulness and awareness, that we begin to activate the senses. What are you feeling? What are you tasting? And that's the practice of awareness that we need to learn how to cultivate. But actually, it's through the senses that are the faculties of intuition. Okay, so when I work with people, it's not so much that I'm doing anything to them, because my focus is to teach the person to be their own healer and to learn how to do what I do. And that's how I set up my sessions as well. They have to learn how to activate their own abilities, to read their own energy. Don't depend on psychics or people outside of you that can see energy. That's definitely not my goal. So actually, most of my sessions are not where I read people. I make them read themselves. And they're always amazed by the end of the session. They can actually read themselves. They can read their energy. They can notice when, so, the chakras are toroidal fields. When we have trauma, let's say in the sacral chakra, it can be anything. It could be like abuse, sexual abuse, or just relationship trauma. What happens is that the chakra begins to contract. It slows down. Okay, so it doesn't spin anymore. And so actually the body begins to paralyze in the energy in that part of the body. And it's also connected with psychological elements of ourselves, emotional, energetic. So what happens is the entire field actually looks like it's caved in, and there's a hole, or there's tears inside the body. And so when we have a lot of holes in our body because we're not aware of ourselves, we barely out here, barely like this surviving, we completely forget about the body. You have to remember, your body is a multidimensional organism of consciousness that functions like a sponge. It's picking up information everywhere. Even your toe, your back is picking up information, and you're not even aware of that. So we have to become aware of our body, so we understand what we are attaching to, and also our energy is leaking out of the body, because we connect to things subconsciously. And that subconscious connection can be a fear, it can be an insecurity we don't even realize. It can be a TV show that shows a picture, all of a sudden we feel insecure. Right there, you connected to something and your energy is leaving your body. And all the trauma that you've had that triggered that memory, you're basically enforcing the neural pathway, and the entire body is like deconstructing. So much is happening. Okay,
Yes,
so you have to be aware of that. And the more connected you are to your body, and this is something like when we talk about interdimensional contact, people want to leave the body. They always want to like think about being out there, but actually the true mastery is to integrate into the body and to experience from here what you're experiencing around you. And that takes discipline. And it takes a profound self-love, self-awareness, self-compassion, because actually we don't realize that we become our own abusers. We're living in constant survival, fear, self-hate, unworthiness. Like that's abuse to the body, because biochemically we're creating chemicals in the body that create inflammation, illness, stagnation. If you look at the energy body, full of holes, completely disempowerment, nobody's home. So what happens is that you become parasitic because you look outside to fill this void inside. And also we attract parasitic people, events, situations, collective events, and then we end up, really just depleting our energy. So to heal this is number one, awareness. And begin to work with your field, because chakras are filters of your perception. If your root chakra is wide open and overactive, that's all you're going to see. Survival, fear, anxiety, not safe. That's what you're going to see. You can actually shrink the chakras in meditation to begin to clean up your space. Because when it's overactive, even in meditation, you're going to sit down, you're going to get distracted. You're not going to be able to get clear. So energy work is extremely important. You have to clean the energy body completely, and our imagination is the tool of intuition. If you feel you're just imagining, you have to learn to trust what you imagine, what you envision in your body, and it's going to unlock the emotions. The emotions are the key. With your emotions in your imagination, you begin to link this network of information of the body, and then you can work with it. And it's a profound ability. You can heal all kinds of things. I heal things with people all the time. People are healing themselves. Even little kids. I had a little kid last week that was addressing a problem that he had. All of a sudden, he goes he was going to go for surgery for a tumor. And when we go into the tumor, the emotion is like resentment towards the dad, right? He's like 8 years old. Wow. So he begins to work with the emotion. We drain that emotion out of the body. We alchemize. The next day, the tumor went down. He didn't have to get a surgery.
Wow.
Okay? I mean, I didn't do it. The child did it. The child learned how to release that stagnant emotion from the body to heal himself. So this is the beauty of this beautiful body. We can tune into that.
Yeah. That's really powerful. Oh man. So maybe can I ask one more question, couple of more questions, Sam, to Geraldine on this? So with this, there is a method of pranic healing, right? Where like clairvoyant folks like you can see the energy, you can see the cords, but like there is a gentleman, his name is I think Master Stephen Cole, probably you know him. Yes. Extraordinary, and his master Chokap Sui. So there's some things my wife and I we attended their courses a few years ago. So he was talking about this. So the intention that you mentioned, with that intention, can we actually imagine that we are cutting these external cords, that they are not helping us, and like imaginary we can cut those cords, and that can also clear the blockages?
Yeah, the topic of cords is actually complex. There's a lot of parts. I'm going to make it really short because I know we need to go on time.
Okay.
First of all, we are interconnected with everything. We are one. So the way that we look, really, it's like we're just illumination of light intermeshed with one another. Okay. So when we think of cords, we think we're going to cut the cord, it's going to just chop it off and that's it. No, actually, it's about resonance. Okay. So in our body, the subconscious belief system that made you a match for the person that you're connected to, that's what has to get cleaned up. Because you can cut cords all day, but if you continue to believe this, let's say, unworthiness, if you continue to believe this over and over again, you know, you're going to recreate that cord right back. And that's usually what happens. People come back to me and they're like, hey, I cannot get rid of this cord. Yeah, because you didn't alchemize the belief. You know, you still think, and you're going to find the same person in the next relationship or the next job or the next, you know, it's going to keep repeating everything.
Maybe next birth.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Everything is cyclical, you know. So we have to alchemize. We have to transmute at the core. You literally have to create a new belief system. And that's really the hardest part for humanity, because we don't have a lot of examples of people that are really, truly, you know, love, real embodiment of love and compassion. So we are pioneers. All of you that are watching this, all of us here, we're pioneers. We're learning it just the way Sam discovered it. Me too. I didn't have anyone to teach me. We just learn how to discover these emotions by connecting with the emotions. And it's all about discovery, getting familiar with the feeling of peace. A lot of us, we don't even know what peace feels like. We don't even know what real love feels like. Our idea of love is romantic. That's not love. Okay. So we have to get familiar with those emotions through the body, through the mind, through the system. That's frequency and energy. It's the rebuilding of a new geometry in the body. And essentially the body begins to reconnect and move really fast, because our body is a vortex. And so the more pain and trauma we're in, the slower we move. The higher vibrational frequency, the faster we begin to move. And that's when we enter into a centripetal state of movement. Okay, so one is centrifugal, everything's leaving out of the body. The other one's centripetal, everything is collecting. So that's when we become a conduit for creation.
Wow. Just last one or two things, Sam. So our chakras, right? Are they like horizontal or vertical in each, from top to bottom to the top, all the way you mentioned 24th chakra? How are they? How do you see them? And then yeah, so that's a question. Sorry, go ahead.
Is that for me or Sam?
Yes, for you, Jen.
Okay. Yeah. So, it's like this double-sided vortex. Okay, down the spine of the body. That you can see the spine, but it's really an entire integrated nervous system with our endocrine system. Okay, all of the glands of the endocrine system are essentially your chakra centers. Okay. So this double-sided vortex creates a sphere. It's a sphere around the body, toroidal field. Okay. So we have to move away from the idea that they're just spinning discs. We etymologically, from the word chakra, we just deducted the idea that it's a spinning disc. No, it's an entire sphere. Okay, so we are contracting and expanding the chakras based on our perceptions and the emotions that we use the most in the day. Okay, so as you raise your vibrational frequency, more of your chakras on the upper body are going to be working, which is your intuition. Whatever body you're working the most, that's the one that's going to be more reinforced. So we actually have to learn how to create balance in the body. Okay, the chakras should be aligned, a little more closed in the bottom than the top. Because we want to operate from here, from the higher vision rather than the lower vision. And what happens is that the body creates the Merkaba shape, which I'm sure a lot of people know, but you know, the body has many geometric forms as a platonic solids, just like the platonic solids. And those are navigation vessels. Okay, so when the body enters into a platonic solid, we actually can navigate higher octaves of dimensional planes. More information comes available, which is, you know, what happened to Sam when he opened up one day to the next. That's exactly what happened. His body completely changed and opened up to this higher octave of awareness. So everyone can do that. That's the thing. So that's the chakras. That's how they function.
And then the balancing of this, the last thing, the balancing of this is with the intention and by working within internal work, or there's a physical way we can balance, because we see a lot of people suffering. And I think you're right. If we clean those energies and chakras, then again, after some time, they're going to come back to the same state. But at least they'll find some relief, and then they'll come to a state of mind where they will be in a listening mode, a receptive mode, because of your help, how you can align their chakras. Is there something that we can physically do just by our intention?
Yeah, so well, I'll put it this way. It's about your subconscious thoughts. Okay.
Conscious thoughts.
Your subconscious mind, your subconscious thoughts are the one that produce the bioelectrical emotional charge that is, then expressed by the chakra system. Okay. Your subconscious thoughts are programs that you are indoctrinated with and that you cultivate normally as a personality in order to defend and protect yourself and navigate survival in this world. We literally have to deconstruct those things and find the 0 point, the observer. Okay, the observer doesn't have an identity. The observer, like Sam was saying, people get, stuck in the pride. That's because they held on to an identity. It's great that they came to that point. But when you attach to an identity, you experience a death and a limitation. There's so much more. That's why we have to remember we're all in nothing. That's really, really what we are. And that's really hard for the human because everything around us is telling us you need an identity. You need a name. You need to identify yourself. It's about compartmentalization. Yeah. And that's too small for humans. Humans are way bigger than that. So that's kind of part of this unity consciousness we have to integrate physically, that the subconscious programs around those limiting belief systems, they have to be changed. And we have to teach ourselves to be more expansive beings in every way. That will change the way your chakras are functioning. The chakras are just like routers. All they do is input and output information that we are processing. So another way is change your emotions. Like Sam was saying earlier, you change your emotion, your entire body changes. The geometry. Yeah, exactly. So if the geometry of a person that's in pain, suffering, depression, the body looks like this energetically. Everything is leaving the body. The body that is like now intuitive and connected to themselves, they have these open. So they're totally seeing the world differently. And psychics, we can see that in the body pretty clearly. Okay, so we have to cultivate that vision, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, like Geraldine was saying, we are, constantly interacting with the outside world, and also, the outside world can have an effect on our chakras. So, we have seen this, when someone, says something bad to someone else, they will feel firstly the emotion, right? And, what happens is that, the chakras will also, they will feel an imbalance in the lower chakras. So whenever, like a person is in anger, fear, or, depression and all those states, they actually feel a sadness in the lower stomach region. The reason why is because those are the chakras which are, actually the reason for the, feeling those things, right? And, they need to be cleansed or balanced. And, there are many methods, like Geraldine was saying, to let go of trauma. So like she was saying, there was a child who let go of trauma of his dad. So, that was stored, and that manifested as some kind of disease, right? So that usually happens in people. Right now, there are many even doctors, like I saw one of the, there was one video released by an MIT doctor who used to be a neurosurgeon, and then he actually quit becoming a doctor because, he discovered that, the normal, pathway of, surgery and all this stuff, they were not really healing the person. What was actually healing was that through his experience, he discovered that, being, able to live in a peaceful state of mind, being in a relaxed state of mind, also, being in a positive state of mind, those people healed more faster. Yeah. So there is a video. It was viral, like 10 million views in like a week or something. So it came to me and I watched it. So, that's, he was saying the same thing like we are saying. He also added that, meditation, people who meditate, they heal, more faster than people who do not meditate. And, also, take care of, diet and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying, like we need to, start becoming aware of our own self more rather than, like depending on something outside. Maybe, whatever is happening in your life is because of your own imbalances, you don't realize that. Like Geraldine was also saying, we have subconscious patterns, right? So many people, we realize we have subconscious patterns. We automatically do something, when something happens. So we need to be aware, and maybe next time you don't do that, right? So slowly your neural pathways will change, and then you will become a new evolved version. And that's all I wanted to add. And also in England, so yeah, one of the timelines. So yeah, I think like you were saying, yeah, I mean, I might have a lot of experience before this, which actually matches. Yeah.
What about you, Geraldine? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, same. But I was just gonna say, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
all the places that you named, those are very powerful vortex, energy vortices. Okay. So usually people that are like magis or like high level energy workers, those are the ones that will incarnate in those lifetimes. Okay. So same, I reviewed the majority of my lifetimes, but there's infinite lifetimes. So
Infinite
I
lifetimes.
just everything that I could remember that participated in creating this lifetime, I've relived all of those. I looked at them, and I've been everything, and also in other planet systems as well, which is why abduction, it's really just ourselves meeting ourselves. Like we're literally just crossing over timelines. I was shown myself as a Pleiadian. When they took me to the Pleiades, they showed me there, so then you begin to realize this concept of time doesn't work in these dimensional planes. Yeah, so but I think it's interesting and it's important to access your memory, because the illusion of the earth, of the compartmentalized duality, it breaks. And
I see.
it's necessary for human evolution. It's necessary, especially in the direction in which we're going as a human race right now, into unity consciousness. It's very important that we kind of break this illusion of duality.
So we can accessing our memory, maybe Akashic records or whatever you call it. We can see through our timelines and tap into in this lifetime.
Not only can we, but I think we should.
We should.
Absolutely. I don't know what Sam thinks about this, but I think it's absolutely imperative, because what I discovered is that it's inevitable for you to access your past lives once you go into your ancestral lineage, because you've been incarnating in your family many, many lifetimes, and you're repeating those ancestral programs in order to hopefully end them in this lifetime. So that's one part of our purpose, right? The other part of your purpose is your higher soul. As you begin to access your Pleiadian, Arcturian, millions of aspects of yourself, you're also healing those timelines. That's really how it is, so your purpose becomes more clear. By purpose, I don't mean you become a healer. I mean that you remember who you are. Mm-hmm. I think memory is one of the most important elements that we recover of ascension. It's a sign of ascension. When you are recovering your memory, the more memory you recover, the more ascended you are, the more detached you are from an identity, the more universal consciousness you can embody, Yeah, so I think it's essential for us to recover that memory.
So is that something called moksha, like in Hinduism, right? They say moksha, end state, like when you merge with the superconscious. Is that the goal of soul? Is that really the ultimate goal of soul?
I mean, I'm gonna let Sam answer this, because I'm just looking up what moksha means. I don't know what that means exactly. Let me look at that.
Moksha means the no more reincarnation, no more going through these cycles, and then that's the
yes.
Isn't it, Sam? Right?
Yeah.
You're done with all the karmas.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think like you said, that's the end state. Even you see this in many religions, like even in Buddhism, even in Hinduism. So we find certain truths like hidden in religious systems,
yes.
And like you were saying, the end state is just to be one with everything, to be united with the infinite essence. So you don't need to incarnate again, right? So exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So how is that state? Forgive me to interrupt. How does that state look like, or how does that state one can feel that state? That merge with that superconscious, the one. How can we?
Yeah, I think
that must be.
Yeah, I think I can give you an example how that state might feel like now. I'm not saying, like this out of certainty, but, from what I have experienced in my sessions as well as what I know, is that, whenever you are in the deep state of sleep, you don't have any identity, right? But, like the consciousness is there. It's nothing is there, right? I think, that's the state.
Oh,
Completely.
We are incarnating because we attach to our thoughts, you know what I mean? So every morning we attach to our thoughts, right? So we are reincarnating in every second. We have to do something, it's attaching, right? So, when you have attachments, we incarnate. So if we can remain with that state, I think that's what, people in meditation, like the Buddha was saying, if you meditate enough, you'll become detached with the world and you'll become, like free, totally free, right? So I think that's the state. Yeah, just an example.
wow. Thank you. The time is no essence, right? It's everything like stand still. Just like serene tranquility that, comes over us because this thoughtless. What do you think, Geraldine? I know we over time. What is last thing, last thought?
Same. I mean, and I mean, one thing that I've seen is that we evolve. Like Gurdjieff, I don't know if you guys know who Gurdjieff is, but Gurdjieff talks about how we essentially turn into stars. We become stars, we become universes, we become galaxies, we become multiverses. Okay, so that's like the evolution is going towards less form every time. And that's the goal. And Sam's totally right. The more we attach to anything, and we have to understand what attachments are, because even giving birth in this planet is an attachment. It's an entanglement that will surely bring us back in. But if we enter this moksha, which is such a beautiful word, we become one with everything. We become the all and nothing, as I mentioned. Yeah, so.
This is brilliant. Geraldine and Sam, I think we can go on and on, about so many amazing topics that, and the information and the knowledge that you have. I think maybe we need to do this some other time again. This is, to be honest, infinite wisdom, and then the work, as a result of the work that you have done inwardly, and that's how you are able to express and, reach out to thousands and thousands and millions of those folks. They're going to come in your life. They're going to get attracted to your teachings, and then you are contributing to the enrichment of humanity. So I would love to continue, but thank you. I know you have to go. Once again, I wanted to thank you, both you and Geraldine and Sam, from the bottom of my heart, to allow me to co-create this amazing conversation dialogue with you. And maybe we can close this and we can meet again in future when you have time again. But for now, I think we can close this, right? On this note, Geraldine?
Yeah,
anything?
Amazing. Thank you so much. It was an honor to connect with you, Sam, and co-create, really. Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Thank
Sam,
you so
we're
much.
good?
Thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll meet again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, awesome.
God bless you guys.
Time to say goodbye. Our day was great, now it's time to go home. It's getting late, we've laughed and played under the sun.